I'm standing around. I've got these 3 lifts up in the air, 65, 70 feet. I'm looking around and everything, and I really had one of those moments at that show where I was like, I can't believe I'm here. I mean, am I really doing this for a living? Because when I started, it was just booking little bar bands. You know, it's how I got in the music business.
You're listening to Idea Charger Radio. Hello and welcome back, Success Chargers, to yet another episode of the program. I'm so excited that you're here, and we have got a really cool interview for you today. I don't know why I sound surprised when I say that. I'm trying to get you even better and better quality stuff. I'm going deeper and deeper into my network of people that I know and get recommended to me, but this is actually a really cool success story about a buddy of mine that I've known since, well, we go way back, right? I think we determined during the call it was probably middle school when we first became friends. And you know, over the past many years, he's just pursued what he really loved to do. And he spent about 8 years getting ready. But in 2012, he made the pivot and he stepped away from his family's business. He was third generation manager, owner of a family business in a small town in southern Oklahoma. And he was able to step away from that and really go full time into what his passion is, which is music. And as long as I've known this guy, he has always been about music, and it's been a big part of his soundtrack of his life, if you will. And what we do is we dig in and we find out what it means to be a concert promoter, what goes on behind the scenes, how it all happens, and how you go from basically running your third generation Main Street business for your family to really chasing your dreams and having one of those, oh my goodness, moments where you're doing what you love. Because I know so many of you are in that same boat. You're looking at this thing you do on the side, this thing that is your hobby, something you really think you'd love to do if you could just figure out how to get paid to do it. Well, my friend Tip Jones has really done that, and we're going to have a chance to hear from him. So let me get out of the way. We'll talk a little bit more on the other side. And oh yeah, during this episode, we also settle an old Cooksey family bet. So you're going to hear how that all breaks down here. Hope you enjoyed this one. Tip Jones with Overdrive Entertainment.
My schedule, it's from when my eyes open up until they close at night, you know. How it feels.
That's when you're working.
The phone's always on, you know. It's entertainment never sleeps. Everybody always uses that one, and it's the truth. So
that's crazy. Well, do me a favor, Tip. I'm sitting here today, folks, with my good friend Tip Jones. Gosh, we've known each other since, I don't know, middle school, junior high, high school, somewhere in there.
School,
I was thinking back, you know, not that long ago, I think when we first started trying to schedule this call, it was funny because I was having memories of back when we were kids. You and I first started hanging out. It was one of those summers that MTV used to always do this thing called the live at, or the top 5 at 5 or something, and they tell you what were the top 5 videos requested. And that entire summer that you and I were hanging out, it was the same 5 songs. And,
I know.
And one of the right, so I never will forget that one of those songs that there was like Home Sweet Home with Motley Crue, but one of them was Tears Are Falling from Kiss. And when you and I started trying to schedule this call, you were like, dude, I'd love to do this, but I got Kiss in town all weekend. I was like, holy crap, we have come a long way.
Hey, I was standing in the middle of that room. We had 2 days on that one. Of course, we have a setup day where we do all our rigging. We're hanging all the fly gags and stuff that Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons do. And I'm standing around. I've got these 3 lifts up in the air, 65, 70 feet. I'm looking around and everything, and I really had one of those moments at that show where I was like, I can't believe I'm here. I mean, am I really doing this for a living? Because when I started, it was just booking little bar bands. You know, it's how I got in the music business. I had a friend that had a band that asked me to start handling his booking, and I was very reluctant because I knew nothing about the music business other than I loved sitting and watching it. watching the bands play. But anyway, started with that, and I'll be honest with you, his name is Oliver White, and I always give him credit for getting me in the business. And I texted him that day. I was standing there looking around that room, and I texted him, and I said, man, I can't believe I'm here, and I would not be here if not for 13 years ago you getting me in the business. He made me get into it. And anyway, I kind of took a brief moment there to reflect on all that and thank him, which I've done many times over the years when something cool happens to me, but anyway, it was one of those times. Yeah, it was definitely, it's humbling, man. I'm forever grateful every day I get up and get to do this. It's got its challenges, but man, every show there's at least one moment where you're like, okay, that's why I do it. All right, I remember, So, yeah, you're right. I remember that summer though. I remember that Macintosh you had. I think you was one of the first people that I knew that actually had a computer, and it could do some cool stuff with it. Rewrite the video games the way we wanted them, what we wanted them to say and do.
And that stuff was not all that cool now. You look back and you're like, it's like so cheesy compared to what I can do now on an iPhone, right?
Yeah, it's like Pong. It's like Pong compared to Angry Birds. There's no comparison,
No, not at all. Not at all. Pong is much better. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Gotta keep it real.
I can beat Pong, yeah.
I'm so glad you mentioned the Oliver White Band, because I remember, when I was getting started in my speaking career and doing leadership work, I was traveling through where you were in southern Oklahoma. And it's called you out of the blue. It's like, dude, I'm coming through town. I haven't seen you in a million years.
Yeah.
Can I swing by?
I remember that.
Yeah. My office is in the back of a furniture store. And I was like, it's what? And you're like, just stop by the store. I'll be in the back. And we went back in the back. And your office was awesome because, like, in the back of this furniture store is like, there's like, if I don't even know if I remember this correctly, but it seemed like there was like musical instruments and posters and all kinds of stuff. And you opened up the
furniture
drawer
store, and you walk in my office. Yeah, I got guitars hanging on the wall and my show posters and everything. It's kind of like it reminded me of the Bugs Bunny cartoon where he's in the desert and he walks in the tent and there's like a palace inside. It's an optical illusion. Yeah, I worked hard to make that office my own. Yeah, it's my fortress of solitude. Yeah.
It's crazy. So you reach back and you open this drawer and you open it up. And it's like full of compact discs. And you reached in and you must have pulled me, I don't know, a dozen of those. And you were like the promo copies of stuff. And one of those was Oliver White. And I remember when I left your office that day, I threw that sucker in my CD player. I don't think I took it out for a month. It was just hard driving, rock and roll blues. And I couldn't play it loud enough. I couldn't listen to it long enough. And, I remember you telling me, you're like, this is my guy. This is my guy. And, so how did you get from the back of the furniture store to standing there rigging this gig for KISS? Can you give us just a little brief scenario? Just kind of walk us through what happened.
Well, it started with Oliver, and then we had more bands on the roster as we went. I ended up taking on a business partner, a good friend of mine, Jason Smith. He had some stuff to bring to the table. I had some stuff. We combined it, and it worked, and we built from there. But anyway, we quickly got into the venue side of it, where venues like Wall Street and Duncan, Small Bar in Duncan, Oklahoma, hired us to handle all their dates. And we quickly figured out, well, wow, that's so much better than representing these bands because we're having to babysit those guys and keep them busy. If we just book the bar, we control the quality of music that goes into that town. And then we build from there, and we got more venues. And so then when you're on the venue side of things, other things start happening. We picked up the Magnolia Festival, which is here in Durant. It's an annual event. This year's going to be their 20th anniversary, actually. So we pick up the Magnolia Festival that started out downtown Durant, and a few years later, it ends up moving out to Choctaw Event Center. So the Magnolia Committee ended up teaming up with the Choctaw Nation to move that event out there. So that created some new business relationships, one of which was between myself and the entertainment director out there. And he and I just hit it off, and he asked me to start helping him with some stuff out there at the Durant property. That was in 2012, so it's been 4 years ago. And the more responsibilities he gave me, I worked hard, did a good job. He rewarded me with more work and gave me greater responsibilities. And it literally started with booking a little bar out there called the Parrot Bar. It was just a little tiki bar, basically, on the weekends, to within a year booking some 1,000-seat rooms, that they had some bigger shows, like Randy Travis was one of the first big ones at the time, huge.
Oh, yeah.
And anyway, so do a good job there. Next thing I know, I booked 3 doors down in the event center across the street, which is 3,400 seats. And then last year, middle of last year, construction finished on the north expansion at the Durant property there, where we have the new Grand Theater. And we opened it with Aerosmith. We had Luke Bryan. We had Kid Rock. Yeah, and then a couple other great shows through the end of the year, and then of course the first one of 2016 was Kiss. So I mean, it's been a long 13 years, but it's been a quick 4 years recently. You know what I mean? 2012 again, the Choctaws have been so good to me. And I'm a Chickasaw, and they're still good to me. Chickasaws and Choctaws work great together, and I'm a living, walking example of it. Now they treat me like one of their own. They've been so good to me and blessed me with so much work. But I go out of my way to take good care of them too. Obviously, they're my number one client. I have other clients now. I should say we have other clients. It takes a team. We've got a lot of people here, and but We've got, we also handle the Music on Main series in Denison, Texas, which is a 10-week series every summer. This year we also picked up the Hot Summer Nights music series in Sherman, the neighboring town, that does an 8-week series, as well as a big concert on the lake on 4th of July weekend. We handle some corporate events, too. Frisco Chamber of Commerce, for instance, we've handled their annual awards banquet at the Embassy Suites Convention Center this was our 5th year to do it. We just did it in February. So I mean, it's been a fast 4 years, man. I mean, it's just everything is just falling into place, and we've made some great relationships. We've got a lot of great referrals, from happy clients. That's how you do it, obviously.
Absolutely.
Word of mouth, and I mean, like I said, it's been fast, real fast.
So here's the question: do you still have the furniture store?
No, that was my family's business, and I was a third-generation furniture dealer.
Okay.
And my dad had actually retired 5 years prior to me leaving. I had to make a tough decision, in 2012 when I was going to get a lot more responsibility from the Choctaws. Was I've got enough business now, I can do this full time. I got to make the leap though, and I had to have a talk, with Dad, and of course he supported me 100%. He had already retired by that point, and we had a great employee that we could really depend on, and he worked for us another year, kind of ran the store, and then Dad finally decided to go ahead and close it and sell the building and go ahead and get out altogether. So now this is all I've done for 4 years now. Yeah, it's all I got time to do.
I was going to say, this is it? That's all? You just hanging out, booking shows, doing good stuff? Well, congratulations to you, because I know it's a labor of love, and like you said, it's, everybody says that the ultimate goal is to figure out what you love to do and then find out how to make a living doing that, and it doesn't feel like work anymore. But I'm sure those nights, those calls at 3 a.m. from a road crew that's got an issue and something else, then you get something weird. And what people say, the old adage was, if you won the lottery, what would you do? What do you love to do? If you won the lottery and could quit your job, what would you do? And I'd honestly do what I'm doing. I really would. I probably wouldn't do it as much. I could hire some more help and not have to do as much myself. But man, honestly, there ain't any better way, to spend your day. I mean, for me, like I said, I'm a live music enthusiast, and it is a labor of love. A lot of people they think it's all backstage passes and pictures with artists, and it's not. It's 18-hour days or more, getting things in place behind the scenes, out of view, so that everything out front works for everybody that bought that ticket, that came to that show. That's where the real work comes in, and there's people that have done it for years, and nobody will ever know their names.
And that's
Yeah.
not why I do it. I have a good time doing it. If I get a chance to get a picture with somebody, I obviously will. but I'm not going out of my way to do that, and that's not why I'm doing it. My goal is to make everything work where the show's great out front, obviously. So.
Yeah. So in doing a little research for our call today, I pulled up just a couple of stats, and since you mentioned some sort of community-based events, here's a story I ran across, something that happened also here in the great state of Texas, but it was down in the Rio Grande Valley, down in McAllen, Texas, right on the Mexican border, and they had a huge event that big name talent. They brought in Enrique Iglesias, and they brought him in somewhere around their holiday parade, and the report that I saw showed that the total economic impact to the community, when you count all the money people spent when they came to town, and the money that the town itself spent to put on both the parade and the event, somewhere in the neighborhood of $15 to $16 million. But the city of McAllen, Texas, reports that they actually lost $750,000 on the event. Now, they haven't disclosed what they paid the artist, and I'm sure it wasn't $500,000, but
that's
what's interesting.
Yeah, that can be attributed to, like you said, paying too much for an artist, not getting out there and hustling up the sponsors, and explaining the benefit to the sponsors to get them involved. There's a lot of factors, obviously, but like you said, man, an event like that, especially in a small area like that, huge for tourism. Yeah. It's great for the whole town. It sells hotel rooms, it sells gas, it sells groceries. I mean, it gives a shot in the arm to everything in that area.
Mm-hmm. And one of the statements that showed up in this report was the city manager actually saying, he referenced a little bit about sponsorships, but I think they underestimated what guys like you do, because they said, there's no way in the world that we would do this without hiring a professional event promoter next time. That was a big mistake.
A lot of people try it. Well, and it's just, a lot of people think, well, why would I pay somebody to do something I can do? Well, they don't realize what all goes into coordinating it. There are a few little aspects of it that anybody can do, but you got to know when to do it. You got to know when to do it, how quick to do it. You don't want to do it too soon. You don't want to be late doing it. And you've got to know. You got to know your staff on who can handle responsibilities best. Like I've got girls that work for me as runners, and that's basically what they do. They run, get this, they run, get that. Some of them are better in a van going to the airport picking up artists, or then there's others that are better working back in the dressing rooms where stuff is very particular, what they want, where they want it. And, and it's about reading people and knowing their personalities, who's good for what, putting together the right team, most importantly of all, putting together a plan. There's a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, a lot of notes, weeks, months leading up to one show, where everybody's on the same page, and then you organize all that information, and you get it to all your people in a timely manner, usually the week before the show. And then everybody knows their part, and then you simply just have to kind of watch over everybody and make sure they do things. But after a while, if you've got a professional organization like us, everybody knows their part and everybody's good at it, and they execute well. And it's almost like it's like it's self-propelled. You know what I mean? It's just like turn it on and it can go. And most of the time everything runs smooth. You have your issues every once in a while, but where you'll really get your money's worth out of an agency like us on something like that is when something goes wrong. When something goes wrong, the untrained person will panic. Whereas us, we've got people on staff. I make it no secret, I hire people smarter than me. I hire the best audio techs, the best lighting designers. I've had the best video techs, so that I know if something goes wrong, one of my guys can troubleshoot it and figure it out quick. That's the kind of people that we hire. Do we pay a little more than we should sometimes? Maybe, but we get the best, and it gives the client the best. But honestly, man, on that example there, a lot of people won't really believe you until they try it themselves one time, and then they're like, "Holy crap, we had no idea what you guys do." You know, they thought it's just a smooth sail, and it takes years to get to that point where you can even consider it a smooth sail. You know, so
yeah, you know, it's kind of funny because I think back one of the questions I ask when I go into to work with a team at a company, and we're sitting in a workshop and we're helping them get better at what they do, right? So I'm teaching them how to all the same skills you're talking about, how to communicate more effectively, how to build connections with people around you, anticipate what's coming down the road, and communicate between different people on your teams. And that's the kind of work that I do when I go in and sit down with a team. And I think back, when I was a kid, one of the first concerts that I ever went to was about 1983, and it was Journey, and
oh man,
it was Journey with Steve Perry. Man, it was awesome. Like in the third grade,
dude,
I had no business no business being there as a kid, but I was there.
Right.
That was the first time I was in a room that smelled funny, if you know what I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
And
yeah.
So I'm in this basketball arena on a college campus, watching Journey. Bryan Adams, this will give you a throwback. Bryan Adams, who right now is on tour doing, I don't know, his 30th anniversary tour or something. But Bryan Adams was the opening act, and it was his first U.S. tour.
Oh man!
So
what a show!
That's like
it was incredible.
Yeah. I will never forget when he sang "Cuts Like a Knife" and "Take Me Back," his two biggest hits of his debut album. And then I got to watch Journey right after that. But I'm gonna be honest, as wild as I was as a kid, it was a pretty basic stage. It was a pretty basic light show, and it was just about the rock and roll. But today, you go watch an event, brother, and it's about pyrotechnics and production. And it's little things you talked about, being able to anticipate the unknown. I would always go by and go, why are these giant generator trucks out here in the back? Don't they just plug this into the wall and go? And it's like,
right.
No, right? So tell me,
share
with us a story about something where it was kind of like you learned a lesson that has made you better at anticipating some of the things that could go. Like the last thing you want, man, is for the power to go out in a show.
Yeah.
But what are some things
luckily with this new room, we've got plenty of company switches, plenty of power in there. But again, that's from doing shows for years across the street at the event center where there was only so much power, and you typically had to bring in those generators when you had a big enough show. When we would run a bigger show over there, like say Alan Jackson or Reba or Hank Jr., we'd have to run what we call north to south so that you can get more chairs on the floor, and you'd have to bring in 400 amps of power for lighting, 200 amps for audio, and that's the bare minimum. But yeah, there's been a couple instances where, man, it's like, oh, it's iffy. The rule on power is you always bring about twice what you think you're going to need, and you never run into issues like that. But now as far as learning, I can honestly tell you, man, I still learn something every show, especially this past year once we got in that new room and we start with Aerosmith, Luke Bryan, Kid Rock, of those caliber, Van Perry. You learn something new on every one of those shows. Luckily, I've got a client that's willing to listen. And when I go back after a show, when I say, hey, look, we had this issue. It wasn't major, but it could have been. We should really do this so that we don't have to handle it, do that again. And they're good about making a lot of adaptations. They've let us do that. They've let my staff go in there and do a lot of cool things, and it makes it easier every show. Like I said, we literally learn something every show to be able to do it better the next time. And it's really reflecting because the artists are telling us. So never stop learning, man.
No kidding, right? So let me ask you this question too, because there's so much more that goes into a show today. But there's still some bands out there that they don't have the draw yet. They don't have the big pull. So I went out and looked at Polestar, right? It's an industry pub, and was just kind of looking at what are some of the average ticket prices that you might find. Yeah, exactly, right? I did spend a summer in Nashville. This is pre-internet. I spent a summer in Nashville selling concert tickets for Ticketmaster.
Oh, man.
And it was crazy. I sat in a windowless phone room with about 20 other people looking at a screen. It was a black screen with green letters, and
Yeah.
And when Saturday was the on sale day, and when a concert went on sale, it was bananas. And but it would still it would take us a while. That's when they still had they had physical outlets out in a lot of department stores or grocery stores in the area, and we had this phone bank, and we're doing all this. But and it's like now a venue might sell out in 12 seconds, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's just crazy. But you look at concert ticket prices, and an unknown band average price may be about $12. Somebody like AC/DC, the average price might be $100, right?
Yeah.
But it's really interesting. What kind of peel back the curtain? What all goes into that ticket price? Because let's be honest, dude, it is not cheap to go to a concert these days.
It's not, and there's a lot of ancillary costs people don't know about, obviously. But you have to. We typically, the venues we work for will use a program called a pro forma. That is basically a pre-show budget. You go in. It's a spreadsheet per se where you'll go in and you'll have your artist fee. Then you've got to figure in all their hospitality. They're gonna have catering needs. How many people are there? Okay, how much ahead? You got a line for catering. How many hotel rooms? You got a line for all that. Bus stock you got to take into consideration, and that's just on the hospitality side. Then you get into the production side, where you have to look at, well, how many stagehands are we going to have? 24? Okay. You got to have labor for them figured in. You have to have hotel for those guys, meal vouchers, a lot of little things like that where anything you have to itemize all those expenses, and you have to budget a little more obviously than what you think you're going to do, and then you take that final number. You can't just scale the show, what we call scaling the show, how we price the tickets. We can't scale the show off the artist fee anymore. Anybody that does that is very dangerous. They're going to lose money. Because a lot of times you can have just as much in an artist on the production and hospitality side as you would their fee. If you're not careful, you got to hammer them down on that. You got to tell them, hey, that's a little excessive. How about we do this? They want 36 stagehands. It's my job to get them down to a reasonable number, what I think we need. Otherwise it costs my client more money. But so you take that entire pro forma, then you take that total. You scale your tickets off of that. You decide. Typically, a venue is going to want to make money on it. But, let's say you got a 3,000-seat room. You do a flat $50 ticket. That's $150,000 gross. And hopefully that'll cover everything you're looking at, and you make money. The casinos do it a little differently because they have a lot of comps for VIPs. So they don't typically, they don't always make money on those shows. Honestly, a lot of times they don't.
Sure.
A lot of times they'll take a huge artist like Kiss, for instance. The smallest room Kiss was playing before they got to us was 5,000 to 6,000 seats. So they come in and they play a room 3,000 seats. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that the casino might lose money on that show, but they want to get 3,000 people into their casino, and they get a $100 average ticket on that show. There's not a lot of places that'll do that. So again, my hat's off to them for thinking about the customer, for making it affordable, where just about anybody can afford to come out and see Kiss and get a great seat. So but anyway, that's what you're looking at. All those ancillary costs have to be figured in, or you're going to lose some money. So,
if you had told me when we were growing up that within an hour or so of where we went to high school, someday you'd be able to go to a casino that didn't exist at that time.
Yeah.
And go see Kiss for $100.
Hall. I know it.
Like, what?
Nuts, man. So, and the fact that my both of my parents are from here. You know what I mean? We lived in Ardmore those 10 years, and then Norman for 3. Yeah. But my family's actually from this area. My mom is from Calera, just a few miles south of here. My dad's from Boca Chica, just a few miles east of here. And my family had a business here. Like we said, we had they had the furniture store, and my granddad opened in 1954. So my roots are here. All my family's here. They were all here to help us raise our kids, which is where you want to be when you have kids, if you can be. It's nice to have your support system around you. Yeah, you know what I mean. So anyway,
I just have one, and I'm a long way from help, and it's
I know it, man. But to do what I do, and that's the baffling part about it, really more than anything. To do what I do, and to do it from Durant, Oklahoma, because every one of these big artists that comes in, that I meet, I handle all their stuff, that's the first thing they ask me. So where are you from? Where's your office? I'm like, dude, it's right here in Durant. They're like, no way. Yeah. I mean, that's what's great about it, man. My biggest client, I travel some, you know, I go to Nashville for some conferences. We go to Vegas and handle some video for PBR and ABBI bull riding events. You know, we've got clients, a few clients across the country. You know, the National Cattlemen's Association put on a concert in San Antonio last year. They're talking about doing it out on the West Coast next time. But most of the time, I don't have to travel. You know, more than just a drive to, say, Frisco or one of the other Choctaw locations. The majority of my business is 3 miles from me. I'm sitting in my office right now. The casino's 3 miles south. And, I mean, I can be out there in a hurry. But that's been a good asset for them. That's allowed me to be an asset for them, you know, that I can be out there when a lot of people in my position couldn't. They had to go to Dallas or Oklahoma City to get anyone that was capable of handling the stuff that they want me to handle. But like I said, luckily I'm here, and they've nurtured me and helped me grow, and like I said, they've been great to me, man. They've really allowed me to learn, and if I didn't know it, I learned it, and hey, that's what I'm doing. So,
and I'm sitting here with a big smile on my face, thinking about how happy I am for you that you've been able to. It's just to carve this out, because you know, so many people that listen to my podcast, you know, a lot of times we're that square peg people are trying to put in a round hole. You know, everybody's trying to say, well, what's the job I can get? And guys like you and me are saying, what's the job you want? And you know, how do you get paid to do that? And you know, you understood what it took. Sometimes it takes. I mean, I hate this term, but it's descriptive. I mean, this music thing started as a side hustle for you. You know, you had a job, and
I was forced to do it.
Yeah, exactly. You were born into it, and you didn't have a choice, and there it was. Bloodline said, you're going to be in the furniture business, son. And
right.
But the cool thing you actually went on to a point where you had to make a decision, and you said, you know what, I'm finally there to cross over.
You got to take a risk. You can stay in your comfort zone, which I could have. I could have stayed in my comfort zone and ran my family's business as a third-generation dealer. I've got the same name as my dad, the same as my granddad, and the customers made it very good for me. They made it easy on me, but I did. I took good care of them because I'm a people person. Whatever I do, no matter what I do the rest of my life, I'm involved dealing with people. But I could have easily stayed in my comfort zone and did that, and I thought long and hard for a few years leading up to that. Man, if I could just do this music, you know, do the music side full time, it'd be great. But never could see an end. When you have a family, you know, I had 2 kids, and when you have those type of responsibilities, it's not just you, you know. So you got to be careful. But I finally got to that point, like I said, in early 2012, where the Choctaws basically told me, you know, we'll keep you as busy as you want to be. We want you to handle a lot of stuff for us, whatever you're comfortable handling. If it's too much, you tell us. And I mean, they were so great about that, you know, helping me make that decision. But I'll tell you, when I made that decision, it was scary. It really was, because it's almost like, you know, there's no turning back, you know. But that's what you have to do. I mean, you've got to get outside that comfort zone, or you're never going to break that cycle. You're never going to, you know, get out of that monotony that you're in every day, if it's a cubicle or if it's whatever it is. You know, if you're unhappy, I mean, man, it's and I honestly, there's been times, you know, like I said, the first couple of years doing this full time, where I didn't make a lot of money. I mean, I barely made enough to get by, to be honest with you. But I was doing what I loved, and the freedom that I had, still have somewhat, the freedom that I had of working my own hours and being able to go where I want to go. I can work from anywhere. There was a price I couldn't put on that. So it's not all about dollars, you know. So you got to think about that side of it. For me, it was almost like benefits, you know. Yeah, I've got a lower salary than I'd like to have, but I've got all these benefits, you know. And you got to look at the big picture, you know. But that's the main thing. Get out of that comfort zone and take a risk. I mean, you're never going to get anything else if you don't, you know. And a lot of people, it's hard to. I mean, it took me a while. Yeah.
All right, well, we got just a couple of more things I want to ask, and then I know you got a full day packed, so I appreciate you carving out some time for me and for my listeners today. But what, as you kind of look back through the catalog, you mentioned Kiss as being one of those, God, I can't believe I'm here moments. Who's an artist that we may or may not know of? And you had a good experience with Oliver White. He got you in the business. You had a good experience with Kiss, just to kind of that wow factor, right? Somebody we looked up to as kids. But what's been one of the, give me a fun story, one of those, like, this was just really funny or something cool that happened and you were just like, yeah, that was awesome.
A couple of instances. First, one of the biggest people that I've met to date that really surprised me and how humbling he was Kevin Costner. We had him for a couple of shows at the Grant location and at the Durant location. And he's got a band. He tours, and I didn't know it, but he wrote all those songs in those movies, the great movies, Dances with Wolves. He wrote almost every song in there, and he tells stories about how he wrote this song during the filming of this movie or whatever. But anyway, after the show, he comes down. A lot of times we don't talk to the artist. We talk to their tour manager or their production manager, right? But he made it a point to step down off the stage and came over to me and our entire crew, shook everyone's hand, and thanked all of us for a job well done. Thanks for working so hard. For somebody that big, that was really cool, and I really enjoyed that. But another one, and one of my favorites, was Charlie Daniels. He's one of the coolest old guys you'll ever meet because he's done it so long, and got sound checked and set up, and he asked me to drive him over across the parking lot to the hotel when he was here. And anyway, we're driving over there, and we're chatting a little bit. He's telling me about where he's been and where he's going to next, and I asked him about Trudy. I tell him, I said, man, Trudy's my favorite song of yours. Everybody loves Devil Went Down to Georgia and in Texas, and the South's going to do it again. And I said, but man, honestly, Trudy's always been my favorite. I said, do you still play it? And my business partner Jason was there, and he's like, yeah, man, do you ever play that? And Jason wasn't going to be able to be there with us all day. I was. Jason had to leave to go do another show. He had another obligation that we had, and anyway, so Charlie was like, man, you know what, I don't play it a lot, but I'll play it. Most guys won't do that. They've got their set list set in stone. They play it every night. It's cookie cutter because it's, they're used to it, and that's what the crowd wants to hear. They play those hits. Mm-hmm. But he was like, you know what, I'll play it for you tonight. And Jason was like, well, hey, if you can, play it towards the end of the show, because I can't be back until right towards the end. And typically, that would be a lot to ask of someone. And he said, you know what, I'll do that. I'll wait till second or third to the last song, and I'll be sure and play it for you. And I'll be darned if he didn't wait till almost at the very tail end of the show, and he played it. And when he came on stage, he looked at us, and he saw Jason. He said, "Did you get to hear it?" I mean, it doesn't get any cooler than that. Because we've had bad experiences with certain people we won't talk about, because some of them are difficult. Yeah, they think they have to be to get taken seriously or to get the stuff they want, whatever. And then you got somebody genuine like that. And again, that's one of those moments I was telling you about. At every show, there's at least one of those moments where you're like, that's why I do it. Okay, yeah, I got my tail end whipped today, making this thing happen, and I'm beat, and I'm going to sleep all day tomorrow. But that's why I do it. And it was one of those moments. But that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite experiences. I've met much more famous people, but they didn't have anywhere near the impact that Charlie Daniels had. Because he did that for me and Jason. I couldn't believe that. It was so cool.
Do you happen to have a Charlie Daniels autograph somewhere in your collection?
I actually do. Yeah, I've got a picture with him, and he autographed for me, and I got a set list too. All right. Well, here's the reason I asked that. We've got this bet in my family. All right. When I was a kid, do that. When I was a kid and I lived in Tennessee, Charlie Daniels came to a horse show and sang the national anthem at the beginning of the horse show. And I got Charlie's autograph in the program for that show. But my dad didn't think as a kid, I was a little kid, right? Like 5th grade or something, 4th grade. Yeah. My dad didn't think I'd be able to get Charlie's autograph, so he signed a fake autograph in the same book. Well, the book is long gone, and my family to this day does not believe I actually got Charlie's autograph. I have the page that I believe is Charlie's autograph,
and I need a
I got one. We'll
third
compare
party.
them. We'll do some forensics after the call. Yeah.
All right. So,
Moving into
for those of you listening to the
yeah.
podcast, as soon as Tip sends me that picture, you can just text it to me later. Send me that picture, and I'm going to find mine, and if I can, I'm going to put those two pictures in the show notes side by side, and we'll let the listeners determine if I was telling the truth.
We're all anxiously awaiting the results. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that my family is going to be on pins and needles, and they're
like a Maury Povich episode. You are not the father.
This is not the signature. So that's awesome. Yeah. So, okay, we're going to settle this bet today. A couple of quick questions. It's something I call the lightning round. Let me just kind of throw this in your terms, and you've kind of alluded to some of these, but just short, quick, 15, 20-second answer. What comes off the top of your head? Tip Jones, what does success mean to you?
Waking up and looking forward to the day you have in front of you.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's cool. What is happiness?
Man, for me, it's honestly, it's sitting in front of that, in front of that stage, listening to that show. It's something about live music is just so much better than listening to a recorded version of that song. There's so much emotion, and that person, if it's one of your heroes, and it usually is, they pour a lot into it, and you really see it, you feel it, you learn to appreciate it.
That is cool. All right, one last question for you, and this is going to be tough because I know you prefer live music, but let's just say, my friend, that you were banished to a remote island somewhere for the rest of your life, but you had this, I like to call it the magical coconut, that somehow could play music. It's like got an MP3 player in it or something. And and you could only take one album with you to listen to for the rest of your days on this island. What might that album be?
Man, that is tough. Wow. It'd have to be one of those. Now, that's what I call music compilations because I got to have a little bit of everything.
Okay.
I can't pigeonhole. Honestly, I'll listen to a lot of different genres of music. I don't get pinned down to any one of them, but man, I would. I'd have to have a compilation album of some sort. And I'd go nuts.
All right, my man.
Coconuts.
My man Chip,
I'd go coconuts.
He'd go coconuts, and he's not taking an album. He's taking a playlist, right?
I'm gonna take a mixtape, dude. That's what I'm taking.
keeping it old school, man. I love it. And with that, we've come full circle. Folks, give it up for Tip Jones with Overdrive Entertainment. Tip, thanks for your time today and being with us. We really, really appreciate you being on the show.
My pleasure, brother. It's great talking with you.
I love it, man. My favorite part is when he said, entertainment never sleeps. And neither should your dreams and your goals and all the things that you're going after in your career. So, look, if a little guy I say little guy, he's not a little guy. He's kind of a big shot now. And I'm proud to call him my friend. And he has been for a long time. And, you can do it. Whatever it is that you've got a passion for, if you stick to it, if you find the right people, and if you'll notice, what Tip talked about a lot in that interview was the importance of building connections with people. And that is so much what I do. So if you're looking for a way to build better connections within your business, your teams, you want to do more work, let me know. I'd be happy to come out and work with your team. We could do some workshops. I'd love to come out and share some of my stories at your industry event. I speak at conferences and would just love the chance to come out and get to share with you some of the things that I've learned in my years out here doing this. It may not be hanging out with Kiss and Kevin Costner and Charlie Daniels, but by the way, right after we recorded this video, I ran out to the garage and dug out that old signature that I had. Tip made good on his promise. He sent me a copy of Charlie's verified signature. I'm going to put both of them in the show notes. You'll find it at ideacharger.com/episode 31. Please go there, take a look at the two, and I'm going to ask you to vote. Do you think they're the same guy, or do you think that one is a counterfeit? So I'm going to let you vote. I know what my vote is, and I think Tip was right there with me. So we'll see what you think when you check them out. Hey, that's about it. By the time you hear this, I should be on my way to Melbourne, Florida, headed down there to work for a day with a client of mine just outside the Orlando area, but I might have a little bit of time. So if you're in Central Florida and you've got some time, let me know. Maybe we have a chance to have a quick meet and greet while I'm there. I'd love the chance to meet you. It's always good to meet people when I'm on the road. I'll be back here in Houston after that for a little while as we kick off a big project here with one of the big hospital systems. Super excited to be working with their folks as well. So, hey, listen, I'm speaking at the HR Gulf Coast Symposium conference, which is coming up in May of 2016. It's going to be right here in Houston. If you happen to be there, if you're an HR professional, listen, I've got 2 breakout sessions I'm doing at that conference. One of them is kind of a traditional breakout. The other one is going to be something really, really awesome. That's a no PowerPoint, not even in a traditional room, really interactive 1-hour session that we call Tournament of Change, and I think you're going to like it. So I hope if you're going to be in the area, it's in mid-May. I want to say it's around the 12th, if memory serves, but I'll try to put a link in the show notes as well, so you could sign up for the conference if you're not already going. But let me know if you're going to be in town or if you're a local professional that's going to be in down there for the show. I'll have some time to get together. I do plan on being there for the duration of the 2 or 3 day event that's going on. So listen, you go out there and have a fantastic week. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we'll see you again next week, Success Chargers. Thanks. Remember, share it with somebody. Don't forget to stop by and vote and for what you think about the autograph. Let's help settle this family bet. Ideacharger.com/episode 31. Follow the link and let us know. Is it real or is it a fake? Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week. If you enjoyed what you just heard, please post your 5-star review and subscribe to Success Charger today. Your future is waiting.